Tyrese Haliburton, we got to have a conversation about what's going on with him. Because 6 points, didn't hit his rebound number, or didn't hit his assist number either.
Yeah.
Just, he's getting blitzed. He doesn't have the ability right now to create his own shot. And what you're seeing from Jalen Brunson and Josh Hart, Dante DiVincenzo's, they're kind of mixing up who's going to guard him on a night-to-night or a minute-to-minute basis. And he just hasn't looked good. I think I have to fade Tyrese Haliburton in this spot, especially if I'm getting like a 16.5 or a 17.5.
You know, and like you watch like Jalen Brunson step up his game, and even when he was in Dallas, like
Yes.
balled out in the playoffs, especially when Luka was out those first couple games against the Jazz in the first round a couple of years ago. I don't know, man. I was really excited about Tyrese Haliburton, especially the first half of the regular season. His numbers, the box score every night was ridiculous. Is he just a really good regular season player? I mean, I know this is like really his first taste of the playoffs, but I don't know. That shot is so ugly, and like you said, when they blitz him, kind of like panics with the basketball. I don't know. He's not as smooth as the first half of the season or what I saw early on this year.
And the shot obviously is pretty ugly.
It's really ugly.
And it hasn't been going in. So I think TJ McConnell is going to get more run in this series. You saw what he was able to do. He was able to slash. He was able to hit corner threes or corner twos, as Drew, who came on our show last night, had to say. And if you look at what he did overall in terms of his points, had 18 last game. Wow. Had 20 the game before that against Milwaukee. I think he's just getting more usage, more minutes. Obviously, you need to find somebody off the bench that can get you some points, and that's him right now. Had 23 minutes off the bench last game and 23 minutes the game before that. So you're seeing a steady rise since the Milwaukee series. Had like 15 minutes per game, getting about 7 more minutes per game now. Honestly, he probably should be getting like 25 to 27 minutes. They should not have taken him off the floor.
We talked all year like, okay, we like Boston to get to the finals, but they're going to lose to whatever team comes out of the West. Right now, Minnesota's 3-1. OKC's 8-1. The Mavs are 11-1, and the Nuggets are 13-1. Should we just play one of these Western Conference teams, and should it be Minnesota at 3-1? Or do you kind of still like OKC 8-1 or the Mavs 11-1? I mean, obviously they're playing game ones tonight, but I don't know, man. 3-1 on this Minnesota team seems like a good bet.
See, that's the question that I have for you as a long-time seasoned sports bettor.
Yeah.
When you know what the price was just like a week ago.
Yeah.
Just a
night ago.
Just a night ago.
Yeah.
Doesn't it just kill you to bet something like that now at 3-1 when we could have had? It was 80-1 in the beginning of the season, which is fine. We're not going to get that. But it was like 18-1 before the playoffs even started.
Great question. I would never bet it at 3-1 just because, like you said, we could have had 18-1. We could have had plus 550, I believe, or almost 6-1 last night if you shopped around a little bit. I couldn't do it. If we weren't doing 4 hours a night of gambling content, 20 hours per week, I probably wouldn't have even asked you that question. But I am saying they are still 3-1. I think Boston wins it all, though. I disagree with what everybody said. Every guest, everybody that we've talked with. I think that Tatum finally gets it done. I just think this Boston team. Now, I think they need Porzingis, even though I don't love Porzingis. If he doesn't come back, and I know they're right now saying that he could be back or should be back for the finals or Eastern Conference Finals.
And now he's coming back with rust,
right,
and going up against a Minnesota Timberwolves team that it's going to be Rudy Gobert. Say that the Timberwolves do go to the finals. Then it's Rudy Gobert and Karl Anthony Towns pushing up against his little skinny body, his skinny Latvian body.
Yeah.
I don't know how he's going to handle that with a already injured calf.
Yeah.
That's not a great situation. Listen, I think that if you're going to make the case for Boston over Minnesota, you would say, because I was just having this conversation earlier today and my friend was trying to convince me, is that the difference between Denver and Boston is Boston has a lot of elite wings, right? And Denver does not.
Yeah.
Denver has one really elite guard, and then they have a really elite big, but they don't have any backup bigs, and their wings aren't that great. Like KCP's a pretty damn good defensive guard, but not
3-and-D guy.
3-and-D, but he's not necessarily the kind of guy that you're looking to give you 25 on a night-to-night basis.
No.
Whereas like Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum can both make the lives hell for Anthony Edwards.
Yeah.
And that's a tricky component. Same thing for Mike Conley. I'm not sure how Mike Conley is able to score.
See, and that's the thing. Like, I don't want to look at the regular season matchups because I made the mistake of doing that with Minnesota and Phoenix in the way that Minnesota runs teams off the 3-point line. That's why I thought Phoenix was going to be a bad matchup because they got a bunch of mid-range shooters and the guys that could just pull up like Durant and Booker and Beal. But like the regular season doesn't matter. It didn't matter. That was a terrible matchup when we got to the playoffs. I keep thinking about Boston against Minnesota if we get that. How does Minnesota defend Boston? Even if Porzingis is like 50, 60%, I completely agree. I think he's soft. But offensively, do they have to have Gobert chase him out on top of the perimeter?
It's a great question. Because who guards Porzingis?
That's what I mean. Is it more of a Naz Reid type series?
I think so.
Do they go smaller? I just think that might be a bad. But Rudy's a much better perimeter defender than he was in Utah. Like, it's a much different system too. I'm going to say a much better coach, too.
For sure.
I mean, right?
What is that coach that you think is the most likely to be the head coach of this team? Obviously, there was a lot of rumors about Phil Handy. He has now been let go. But now there was like rumors about Ty Lue, and he just got an extension. Jason Kidd, he just got an extension. Who is that, in your opinion?
Yeah, so I if you asked me this a couple days ago, I would have said Ty Lue in terms of the Lakers' preference and the guy at the top of their list. But looking at, like, I have not heard yet a favorite within this coaching group. Mike Budenholzer is the most accomplished coach available right now on the market. At the same time, he's the mentor of Darvin Ham. So I think it would be a little weird to fire the protege and then hire the mentor. Like, he's probably a better coach than Darvin Ham and can do some of the positive things that Darvin did at a higher level and just has more experience. But I don't know if that's necessarily going to be the move that it would be with a different team that maybe hires Bud and they don't have the same kind of baggage hanging over the situation, given that they just fired his protege. I look at JJ Redick as a really interesting candidate. To me, I see shades of Steve Kerr in him in terms of just like his temperament. And on the one hand, he's like this nice guy who has a certain level of intellect and empathy, but then also you see he's got the competitive side and the fiery side, and he's not afraid. Whether it's on his podcast or if he's doing like First Take or something, like you'll see that side of him come out. And that to me is kind of similar to a Steve Kerr, who for the most part is, a pretty genial figure, but then he'll have the times he gets ejected or has a fiery press conference or something. And like, I could see JJ Redick kind of developing into that type of coach, at least from a temperament standpoint. Obviously you don't know what he's going to be like as a tactician just because he's never been an NBA level head coach or assistant coach. And then there's some assistant coaches around the league. Kenny Atkinson is a guy who interviewed for the coaching position that Darvin Ham ended up landing. Charles Lee is also of the Budenholzer coaching tree. He's coached with the Celtics. There's Micah Nori, who's with the Minnesota Timberwolves right now. David Adelman, who's with the Denver Nuggets. So there are some high level assistant coaches across the league who I think will certainly get some consideration. But right now it's not really a great coaching pool. And I don't know, like, I think it'll come down to how the interviews go, how the background process goes. Lakers are going to be starting that soon. And I think that'll ultimately dictate who ends up winning this. But as of now, I don't think there's a clear favorite.